Okay. So wonderful. We are going to get started. Today is a very important subject of diabetes, and we have also connected obesity with it. The two may be independent topics, and they are also connected topics. We know our body is a whole system, so everything is connected with each other. But having said that, I see the possibility of also treating these as two different subjects if required. So it's not necessarily that we're going to treat them as diabetes and obesity as a function of each other. So that's one. We today know that diabetes is really almost an epidemic in India. The kind of figures which we know of diabetics in India, and I've just put in a small note, a research study by India Spend on the fact that 1 out of 2 do not even know that they are diabetic. Um, uh, the fact is that it is as important to start getting serious about your condition when you are a pre-diabetic, and today it is fairly well what is pre-diabetes itself is fairly well defined, and therefore recognizing this, acknowledging it, and acting on it so that we don't cross the borderline is very, very critical. And so I felt that this is probably one of the most important topics today. We are almost all of us, once we hit 40, 45, we are prone to diabetes, thanks to our lifestyles. And I still go back to lifestyle as being, central to it. So today, last 2 days, we've had two homeopaths emphasizing, of course, by and large on lifestyle changes, but with homeopathy as a central treatment. Today, we have Dr. Vrishali Kulkarni, whose central treatment line of treatment is Ayurveda. And we've been emphasizing on Ayurveda, a lot. And I've been saying this again and again, that Ayurveda is not just about treatment, but it's also about a preventive way of life, a way of life, living, and it has a very important role in preventing most of the lifestyle diseases which we have. So Dr. Vrishali Kulkarni has several years of experience in Ayurveda. She's from Nasik. Am I right, Vrishali? I keep
From Solapur.
From Solapur, actually. Yes. Okay. So I treat Nasik, Pune, and Solapur as the same belt. She's from there, and she's been very active in our on our platform. Gives fantastic tips. I remember, Vrishali, that last year when we had started this group, you were probably one of the only ones, or only doctors who would give a tip a day or a tip a week. I don't recall that very clearly, but
I
it
was
it
doing
was very
that.
regular. Yeah, it
I
was
was
very,
doing
very.
that, but then some other things came in and I couldn't continue with it afterwards.
So I really love the educative spirit that you bring to the table, and so this platform we've created so that we can actually enhance our education in the area of diabetes, and ensure that none of us actually cross over. And if we are already there, then we have the capability of reversing it through various tips or clues which you give us. There is a lot which is being said about diabetes, how to reverse it. There are multiple kinds of treatments. I myself have whenever I meet a doctor like you, Vrishali, and the first thing I ask them is, okay, tell me that what is it which I can bring back to the table. So I met Dr. Patanjali recently, and he has some very interesting formulations to give for diabetes and pre-diabetes. These are all herbal, of course, but I still think that central is lifestyle. So I'm sure you're going to emphasize on both things. The general part we already know on what we need to do to keep ourselves on the right track. But any more specifics which we need to understand on diabetes and pre-diabetes would be wonderful. And also, how do we really check that we are there? What are the symptoms, and when do we actually check? What do we really check when we have the many tests related to diabetes? So I would also like you to touch a bit on that. And over to you, Dr. Rishan.
Thank you, Gauriji. I'll try my best to impart whatever knowledge I have. Maybe I can share it with you. So we'll start on. Shall I start?
Yes, please.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. So diabetes and obesity, they come together hand in hand. There are obese people who do not have diabetes, or there can be people with diabetes who are not obese. But then if you're on the road from obesity, diabetes joins you somewhere in between. So you just have to take them together along. So looking at it at an Ayurvedic perspective, let's see what say Ayurveda, like as Gauriji said, uh, it is Ayush Veda. Like it is the knowledge of life, like how you have to live, how you have to carry on in life, and then when you have some disease, what you have to do with it. So there are two aspects to it: the preventive and the curative. So the preventive aspect in Ayurveda, it is called Swastha Vritta, or the what you say, swastha is health, keeping what all you need to do to keep your health proper. So in swastha vritta, we again have two parts. One is the dinacharya and the other is the ritucharya. Sorry? Yes?
Yes, please. Please continue. There's a
Okay.
little bit of echoing, Rishali. So if there's a problem, we'll let you know.
Okay. So this dinacharya and ritacharya, dinacharya is what you have to do throughout the day, your daily health regimen, and the ritacharya is what you have to do when you have changes in the seasons. So this is a huge part of Ayurveda. In fact, half of Ayurveda works on that. So if we follow this dinacharya and ritacharya regimen, these schedules, if we follow, we can stay healthy and we can prevent disease. So that part has to be emphasized. We have lost a lot of it. We are not following even small, maybe 10% of what the regimen has been recommended. As life has changed, times have changed. Maybe we do not have that kind of leisure like we had in those days when Ayurveda was written. But still, certain facts of life remain the same. Our body is the same, life is the same. So we have to accept certain things, like what Ayurveda is science which believes that whatever exists in the cosmos exists in the minuscule cell in our bodies. So everything, the basic concept of Ayurveda is everything is made up of Panchamahabhuts or 5 elements. So these are Prithvi, Aap, Tej, Vayu and Akash. So ये 5 है. तो पृथ्वी है, आप यानी पानी जल, तेज यानी अग्नि और वायु और आकाश. इन 5 चीजों से पूरी सृष्टि बनी है. जैसे पूरी सृष्टि, पूरा कॉस्मोस बना है, वैसे ही अपना शरीर बना है. अपने शरीर में जो हर एक सेल है, जो माइन्यूटेस्ट पार्ट है अपने बॉडी का, तो उसमें भी you have the same 5 elements in those cells. So that is the basic concept of Ayurveda, and it applies even now. So only thing is, it is these 5 elements exist in everything. Maybe in a tree, in this wall, and in this mobile within me. All these 5 elements exist in living and non-living things, and life exists in the living things. That's why they are different from the non-living things. That's the only difference. But even if you take a stone, for example, it has got Prithvi Mahabhut in it. It has got Jala Mahabhut, Agni, Te, Akash, and Vayu. All these 5 elements are present in the stone, and maybe the Prithvi Mahabhut is more. So this concept, if you understand properly, we can go in for the further understanding of our human body. So when we have disease, what Ayurveda says is rogaha sarvepi mandegna. So when the agni becomes manda, or when the fire is reduced, it becomes, you get diseases, that is rog. So when these 5 elements are in a balance, we have a healthy life. And when the agni comes down, you start getting different diseases. So you have to take care of this agni. Now this agni, what is this agni? This agni is the fire in your stomach, the fire that digests your food. It is not just the fire that digests your food, the fire that assimilates it into all the things in your body, like your blood, your bones, your muscles, all your cellular level tissues, all whatever assimilation goes on, all that goes on with different types of fires, and all these fires have to be kept working to keep your body working. It is energy in its form. So when you look at diabetes, you know that it is diabetes, even the English word or the Sanskrit word prameha or madhumeha, it means prameha means there is a lot of urination. So whatever regular urine output is in your body, when the urination is in lot in a larger quantity, then you can say that it is diabetes or prameha. So there are different types of prameha again, depending upon the vata, pitta, kapha, doshas. That is to we need to go deep into that. We'll just look into how we have to manage them. So when you look at this, you know that the Jala Mahabhut in your body, see, when there's frequent urination, that means a lot of water is thrown out of your body. So the Jala Mahabhut or water Mahabhut in your body has been imbalanced. So diabetes basically is a imbalance of the Jala Mahabhut in your body. So when you look at it, it is in excess. When this comes in excess, you get all the symptoms of diabetes, and the fire in your body, the Agni, has been reduced because of this water, excess water in your body. That causes your disease, diabetes. So this is one thing now. So now when you have diabetes, you have to look at it in this fashion. So how am I going to control, or how am I going to balance these two? So you have to have things that will reduce the water content in your body, and at the same time, the um, things that will improve the fire in your body. So how do you go about it? So basically, um, there are many concepts, misconceptions, I feel. There are many things like you take juices or you take liquids or all those things. So a diabetic has basically to follow the simple principle that they have to make minimum quantity of fluids or liquids and use foods that will help the Agni or the fire to burn properly. So the food has to be light in nature. It has to be easily digestible because the Agni should not get strained with with digesting these foods. So these kind of foods. So you need to eat roasted foods. So laya or laja, pops. It's not popcorn because corn is again heavy to digest. But then sorghum or ragi pops or even rajgira pops. These are really extremely helpful for diabetics. They will not add to your water content in your body, and again they will help to enhance the fire in your body. So when we look at foods for a diabetic, it should be in that fashion. Now when we come to the Swasthavritta part, here Swasthavritta takes a big part in our lifestyle. See, what Ayurveda says is Bhojane Amritam Vari Bhojanante Vishapradam. So what it says here is Bhojane Amritam Vari is having vari, that is water, during meals. It is like amrit. पानी जो हम पीते हैं भोजन करते समय वो अमृत की तरह है. एंड भोजन अंते विषप्रदम. सो आफ्टर द मील, भोजन के अंत में जब हम पानी पीते हैं तो वो विष बन जाता है. तो यूजुअली हम क्या करते हैं, बचपन से लेके वही है कि जब माँ खाना खिलाती है, हम पानी मांगते हैं तो मम्मी बोलेगी नहीं, पूरा खाना खा लो फिर पानी मिलेगा. Then when you go to school, you have the same thing. You carry your water bags or you have to go and drink water at the tap. So first you have to finish your tiffins and then go and drink water. And that habit continues. You first have your full meal and then you drink water. But this habit is very bad for your health. So what you have to do is, for every 4 morsels that you eat, you should take a sip of water. Once you have to, it's like, suppose somebody is sick, then what we give them is semi-solid food or fluids because they are easily digestible. Same is the case here. If we keep on eating the solids first and then we take on water after that, then that water doesn't help digestion. In fact, it harms your digestion. So every 4 morsels that you eat, drink 1 sip of water. And then Ayurveda again has given so many, there are so many steps in it. Like, see, if you live in a dry region or if it is hot summer, you can increase the quantity of water in your during your meals. But if you live in, suppose if you live in some humid areas like Mumbai or Chennai or some places like that, where the atmosphere itself has water content higher, there you have to take less quantity of water. Or if it's raining, then you drink less water. This concept is very, very clearly written in books in Ayurveda. So when patients come asking कि हमको 6 लीटर पानी पीना है, 4 लीटर पानी पीना है, so that is extremely wrong, totally wrong. It again goes with the body types, whether you are Vata, Pitta or Kapha, the Prakriti that we say. So again, with that it changes. But basically, if you are living in hot, dry regions, you can have liquids and solids in equal proportions for a meal. And when you're living in a humid area, you just make the liquid or fluid part half of the solids. Like, and this liquid fluid parts contain everything. दाल का पानी या जो पतली सब्जी बनाई हो तो उसका पानी रहेगा, या किसी में कढ़ी बनाई है तो उसका जो भी fluids है, they will be half of the solids when it is in humid area. तो ये diabetics को ज्यादा ध्यान में रखना है कि उनका fluid intake जो है it has to be limited. It should not be नहीं हम बहुत पानी पीते हैं, बहुत पानी पीना अच्छा है, kidneys flush हो जाते हैं, but then this पानी in your body, it is आपका जो अग्नि मंद हुआ है जिसके कारण आपको डायबिटीज हुआ है, उसी अग्नि पर ये पानी गिर रहा है. तो you have to understand that concept and eat accordingly. Secondly, I know of people who drink lots of water and waking up. तो सुबह उठ के दो बॉटल पानी पिया. आयुर्वेद में अच्छा है, हम वो तांबे के बर्तन में रखते हैं और उसमें पीते हैं. तो ये कब करना चाहिए? जब आप पूरा आयुर्वेद फॉलो करेंगे. आयुर्वेद में पहले क्या लिखा है कि you have to ब्राह्मे मुहूर्ते उत्तिष्ठ, get up at the Brahma Muhurta, that is before sunrise at 4:30. Now that is simply impossible for us these days. So if you are waking up at around 6:30, please do not go in for such large doses of water. A small glass of warm water is enough. Pressure नहीं आ रहा इसलिए. Otherwise, even that is actually not necessary. Getting up in the mornings and going for cleaning your bowels, that is a very big thing that has become something we don't find. People don't go to toilets early in the morning. So what Ayurveda says is, subah utho, agar aapko, if you have a call of nature, then you wake up. Otherwise, you can still sleep for some time, lie down, sleep for some time. Once you get the call, you can wake up and go. And first, you have to empty your bowels. That is the first thing. So when these things are not done, the toxins in your body automatically are going to rise, and that is going to cause innumerable diseases. Diabetes is one of them. Obesity is also one of them. So there are many other reasons that come together with it, and then you get those diseases. So these things have to be taken into account when you have to stay away from diabetes or obesity. So morning आपका bowels clean हो गया है, you have to have some exercise. Now just imagine people in earlier days had to, there was so much of activity. We don't, अभी 1 घंटा सुबह आप जिम जाके आए तो पूरा दिन उस पे आप बैठ गए तो पूरा दिन आप बैठे ही रहने वाले हैं कंप्यूटर के सामने, मोबाइल के साथ. तो that is not going to help circulation in your body. So that is one thing again you have to remember. You have to keep your body in motion. So how do you keep your body in motion? So once you must exercise in the morning, that is one part, and even throughout the day, go for some small activities. See, if you are a person working in an office, then you just sit at your table. Maybe after half an hour, you just have a small walk around and then come back to the table and sit down. And you can continue with such small activities throughout the day. So I remember I had read it somewhere. If you feel like sitting, stand. If you feel like standing, walk. If you feel like walking, run. So if you can do that, you will be keeping your body in motion, and that will keep your systems working properly. So that is one more thing that you have to do if you do not want to put on weight. So, and then when we were talking about water, I would like to say, when we were talking, that's one more thing. Cold water, refrigerated water, or water from the coolers, that is one very big hindrance for good health. It doesn't just cause small, simple cold or cough and all those things, but it adds to your obesity and diabetes. So I have seen many cases where I just had told them that you should take warm water throughout the day. Whenever you want to drink, just heat a little bit of water and drink. So even that warm water can help you reduce your weight, can help you keep in good health. So that is one thing that you should do. Summers, it is, of course, if you are having very hot summers, you should avoid that. But then throughout the year, if you want to reduce your obesity and diabetes, you have to have warm water. It helps. Avoid cold water. That is one more thing I would like to say. Then when we come to Swasthavrut, when we come to taking a bath, so Ayurveda says you have to have a good oil massage and then take a good bath. So that is one thing that is extremely important, and we have just given up on oil massages. Nobody likes to have oil on their bodies these days. But this oil massage, it is not just soothing or something for your skin or some but it helps to regenerate all the cells in your body. Whatever the doshas or the toxins that get collected in your extremities, they are all taken into your truncal region, into your abdomen, and from there they get into the digestion, and then they can be excreted or thrown out. So massage is essential. Maybe we cannot do it every day, but at least once a week, oil bath is an extremely good thing for keeping all your toxins in the body out. Then comes food. So food, meals. Now, when you take meals, the meals should be fresh, ready. Eating, say, I don't want to go into, don't eat junk food, don't eat oily, don't eat sweet, and all those things. We all know about it. But then when you are diabetic or when you are obese and you want to lose weight or you want to reduce your blood sugar, what you have to go in is for these kind of foods. So in those foods, or you can see in that foods, what we have, see, these foods have gone out of use now. These are millets. Millets are coming back, but then we don't use them much. But millets have a very, very good role to play in making uh, lose your weight or reduce your sugars. So shama, kodo, vankodo, these are all very good millets that we can use. But now, unfortunately, we do not get them in good quantities. Now, with living without medicine, maybe we can make this good. We can propagate these millets again with make them popular. So barley is one of those grains that we need to eat. We have forgotten barley. So barley was in ancient times used in regularly in food. So if we can use barley now, like you can mix it in your wheat when you're making chapatis, you can use it, or you can just cook them and you can eat them, like make something like dal or something similar to that and
Sattu
use
also.
barley. Sorry?
Sattu is another.
Yeah. Sattu is another thing that we can use in the diabetic diets. And then चना खा सकते हैं आप. चना भी पानी एब्जॉर्ब करेगा और आपको हेल्थ भी देगा और आपकी फायर को भी ठीक रखेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि चना, it has been fired. It has been given that sanskar of fire, and chana has been made. So, and it contains less quantities of water, and it contains lots of proteins, and it can give you enough strength and energy with, when you eat it. तूर की दाल आप खा सकते हैं, तूर की दाल भी ऐसे ही है. तो you can use these things. Rice, many diabetics say no, I've been advised not to eat rice, I don't eat rice. Actually what Ayurveda says is you avoid navanna, that is जो नया धान आया है, जो अभी जैसे when the rice is paddy is taken from the fields, and if you keep it for 1 year and then use, then that rice is okay to eat. But if you are using it freshly from the farms directly after it has been harvested, it is going to harm you. It is going to cause more troubles because paddy. See it is a very simple thing. Paddy requires lots of water to grow. It is grown in moist areas, so it has lots of water content. So if you use that grain which has lot of water content, it is going to damage you. It is going to uh, cause more problems with your diabetes or with your obesity. So you keep them, store the paddy for 1 year so that the water content in them gets dried up, and you can carry on with the eating it. Or if you have diabetes and if somehow the rice that you're going to eat is fresh one, you just simply roast it and then you can cook it and use it. Putting it in pressure, instead of putting it in pressure cookers, use solar cookers or just keep it in an open vessel and cook. It doesn't take much time. In fact, if you cook in an open vessel, you don't have to wait for the pressure cooker pressure to come down. You can easily get the rice cooked and you can have it. So you can have rice like that. Jowar, sorghum, that is very popular in Maharashtra. That has also got a good effect in diabetes. We can use kulthi, moong. These grains can also be used for the diabetics. One thing that diabetics should avoid is dahi, yogurt, curds. Modern medicine says you have to have it for all the probiotics that you get with it. But Ayurveda says do not use any milk products. In fact, and the basic is curds. If you eat curds, क्या है कि so patients always ask me कि क्यों आयुर्वेद को दही से इतनी नाराजगी है. तो जैसे दूध फ्लो होता है, जैसे छाछ जो हम बनाएंगे बटर मिल्क दही के साथ, वो भी फ्लो होता है, लेकिन जो दही है वो जमा रहता है, जो फ्लो है वो बंद होके वो जम गया है. So that we call abhishandra. It creates the same thing in your body. The flow that has to be continually in your body gets stopped with dahi or curds. So avoid having curds in your food whenever you have. You can have buttermilk, that too in the afternoon meals when you have a very full meal, and that too in summers, not in the rainy season. फिर आप घी लिमिट में खा सकते हैं. In some cases of diabetics, ghee is also not allowed. But once your health has improved, once your sugar levels are in control, when all your symptoms are in control, you can have ghee in little quantities, like 1 spoon in the morning and 1 spoon in the evening, because again, ghee is going to help in the burning of the agni. When the fire has to burn, that ghee is going to help you. So these things you can have in your meals.
Dr. Vrishali, I'm quite confused on the connection between blood sugar, insulin resistance, and water.
Okay.
You've given a very different twist to it. We always talk, used to talk about blood sugar and insulin resistance as the cause of it. So suddenly you bring in water, and that's a surprise. Can you show us some kind of a connection between?
See, I did not get you exactly what you wished to say.
I said we're trying to understand the connection between water, excess water and blood sugar, which is actually the considered to be the cause. High blood sugar because of insulin resistance.
Okay. See, high blood sugar that Ayurveda considers, say it is something that has gone wrong in your body. That is high blood sugar. That is a simple thing that you can take in. And now why this has gone wrong is because your Agni or your digestive fire has not been able to digest your carbohydrates, your fats, your sugars, and then whatever the indigested or the improperly digested food that has come, like we call arm. That arm that gets converted into blood sugar, and that will raise your blood sugar. So for that reason, you have to keep your agni or your fire properly. Even if you have blood cholesterol levels high, you have to see that your fire is kept proper. And once that is proper, whatever food you take in will get digested. See, if a diabetic eats a peda or a laddu, the sugar that is going inside is going to create troubles for him. But if a healthy person eats the same thing, it won't cause anything. Why? Because the digestive power of the diabetic has gone down, and he is not able to convert the sugars into body things that are useful for your body. So that which we call sar, or the good things, elements from the food that will go into your body. So for that reason, you have to control your water levels, water intake.
Okay.
And then I'll come to it that a diabetic feels thirsty. They have too much of thirst. They feel like drinking lots of water. But the thirst or the dryness is mainly in the throat. So whenever you feel thirsty, you can have sips of water. If you take a glass of water, you just sip it and keep it. Don't drink the entire glass at the same time. Just don't gulp it. So if you take 2 or 3 sips, maybe keep some water in your mouth for maybe some 3 seconds, 5 seconds, and then drink it. Then you have that dryness goes off. So that again helps in controlling your water ingestion. So I think, is that okay, or you need some more explanation? So, okay.
I think the question, Dr. Vishali, was about insulin resistance, which is pre-diabetes, and blood sugar and water. Basically, what I think he was trying to ask was about all these three things connected together.
Sorry, I cannot get you properly.
He was asking about insulin resistance, which is your pre-diabetes, your blood sugar, and water. So I think you need to look at the insulin resistance part, if you can just help us with that.
So for what you want to know is why there's insulin resistance, or
insulin resistance, I think, is the pre-diabetes, right? It's the
okay.
first step to diabetes. So
Yes.
what I think Gauriji was trying to ask is insulin resistance, blood sugar, and water. Like you explained, blood sugar and water. What is the connect between insulin resistance and water? What should someone with insulin resistance do? If someone is suffering from insulin resistance, what should they do? They're not diabetic. They are insulin resistant.
Okay.
So what should they do with regards to water?
This regimen for water, or this rule for water, is applicable for everybody. Everybody who wants to keep good health has to follow these rules in water. So even if you're insulin resistant, you have to follow the same rule for drinking water. It doesn't make any difference over here. So see, whatever the diet part comes in the form of Swastha Vrutta, that is similar for everybody. So if you're pre-diabetic, or if you have any insulin resistance problems, but the water content in your body has to be monitored. It has to be kept in check, and it has to be in just this format. Okay? Everybody say. Those who exercise, or if it's summer, you are going to require more intake of water. So that water intake is not controlled. But when you are having food, you have to control your water levels. And once you've had your food, the last morsel that you take in, you just take a sip of water so that your food path is cleaned. But after that, for 2 hours, you are not supposed to take any water. What happens between those 2 hours is the food that has come into your stomach, it stays there in your stomach for 2 hours. And after 2 hours, all the digestion processes that have to be taken in the stomach are over, and then the food is passed on into the intestines. So at this time, once your stomach has been cleared, you can have water in a larger quantity. That is only going to clean your stomach and let the next set of digestive juices come in properly. So for that,
Wonderful.
you can have water then, but this regimen has to be followed by everyone. Maybe you are diabetic, you are not diabetic, even if you're arthritic or if you have any other disease, you have to follow this regimen. And this is very important in Ayurveda. I've seen many cases being solved just with this water regimen. So we do not need any medicines, only change your lifestyle with this water regimen and you have so many changes in your life.
That's wonderful. I mean, this is really emphasizing. Actually, this part, I met a Ayurved recently from Gangaram Hospital, and he's written a book on water, Ayurveda and water. And I was
Okay.
surprised. And the book emphasizes again and again and again the fact that it is a complete, whatever say, misunderstanding, misnomer, or that water needs to be taken in large quantities.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, yeah. So I have that book with me, and I'll be happy to share some parts of where he's actually quoted Ayurveda texts, regarding
Okay.
water.
Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
so glad that you've emphasized this, because while a lot of us keep talking about intake of water in the proper manner, not many of us follow it. So
Yeah.
um, and also with it, you emphasize gut health and digestion. Again and again, we are realizing that almost for all lifestyle disorders, digestion and gut health seem to be very key.
Yeah.
So I think that's a that's a fairly different way to look at our body than what maybe allopathy does. So I
Yeah.
find that a very unique way of approaching the problem, so to speak, and I that's wonderful. Are there any herbs which you recommend? Any specific herbs? Like for example, they say methi is very good for for diabetes.
Yes,
Anything?
yes. Methi is good for diabetes, but then again you have to see that you have it only in the winters, not in the summers, because methi is hot again. There are many other herbs like you have amla. Amla juice is very good for diabetics. You can have amla juice in the morning, a small 10 ml part for fresh amla. There is one more combination that is that Ayurveda says can apply to all kinds of diabetics. That is, there's a turmeric. This is Avla. That is Dhatri Nishadve. Dhatri is Amla and Nishadve, that is two types of haldi. One is the regular haldi that we use in our kitchen, and there is another one that is called Daru Haridra. So if these three are combined, if you take these three churnas in equal proportions and combine and keep them with you, and soak 1 spoon of this combination at night and take it early in the morning, that acts as a rasayana. Rasayana is, you can say, tonic, but I think it is something more than that. But that helps diabetic patients in a very all the small complaints that they have, maybe like fatigue or like nervousness, all those things they get controlled with this Dhatri Nishadve. I've seen many people doing it. It's an advice that I give to almost every diabetic. It's a nice combination. Triphala Churna also helps in diabetes. And then for foods, you said methi, then there is jamun. Say,
Karela,
this,
jamun. Mm.
sorry?
Karela also.
Karela also helps because simply blood sugar. Now, this is sugar, ikshu, sugar cane. Sugar cane has been written down in Ayurvedic text. You should avoid anything made from sugar cane. So, there are people who say कि नहीं हम शक्कर नहीं खा रहे, गुड़ खा रहे, diabetes के लिए अच्छा है. So that is wrong. Anything made from sugarcane is harmful to your body. Now this is also similar to, like I said, of paddy. Sugarcane requires lots of water to grow, so that again has more water content, so that is going to cause problems. That's why avoid sugarcane. Now what can you have? So you can have dates. Dates grow in barren areas, in deserts, so they contain less water. So you can use dates in your food as sweeteners. Dates can be used. Grapes. black grapes, munakka, that we can use. But I have some, I'm a bit hesitant about these grapes because, these munakka these days do not have any seeds in them because we get only seedless grapes. So anything that is seedless cannot propagate, it cannot reproduce. So eating something that cannot reproduce isn't going to give your body enough nourishment or proper nourishment. So but dates you can have. Then there are some things like fermented foods like uh, bread or idli or dokla, whatever we ferment overnight and use. So see, that has been kept in water for a long time. So people say idli to bahut light hoti hai, khani chahiye diabetics ko. So that should be avoided because it is fermented. It has come into contact with water for a long time. So you avoid all those. Even sprouts. Ayurveda does not permit sprouts. Sprouts are called hirudaks. Because sprouts, if you have moong sprouts or matki sprouts, if you try to germinate them, they are not going to germinate. So that is the same thing they do to your body. There might be a huge blast of nutrients in them when they sprout, but those nutrients cannot be assimilated in your body. So only those who have very strong agnis, like kids when they play, when they have energy, and if you give it to them, they can digest it. But a diabetic patient cannot digest sprouts. So anything that is with water, avoid. That's a simple rule you keep. That is the same for obesity. Water stagnates. Like जैसे बहुत बारिश हो गई तो पानी हो गया तो जो दलदल हो जाती है. So that happens. It's the same thing in the body, and that's what you have to avoid. That's the simple thing that you keep in mind when you have diabetes or when you are obese and you want to reduce. So if you look at it like that, any food that comes to in front of you, you can think over it whether I should have it or not, and you can easily have it.
Yeah, it's interesting that when it comes to fermented foods, there are two views about it in terms of gut health. I mean, practically everybody says that fermented foods are good for gut health, but you're saying for diabetes they are not.
Yeah, fermented foods aren't good for gut health because they contain lots of water, and your gut doesn't have the strength to digest it, to absorb it, to assimilate it. That's why you are not supposed to have those fermented foods. I do not know exactly. I haven't gone deep into it, but I just got a reference that if idlis that we eat today are made of plain rice and urad dal. Maybe you add a few grains of methi, but then a few years ago, maybe some 100 years ago or something, it seems they used to make idlis with some other millets along with it. I've read it somewhere. I do not know deep about it. But then there was a suggestion that we use flaxseed in the while we ferment the rice and urad dal for making idlis. So if you're using that flaxseed, maybe it reduces the harmful effects of the fermentation because flax seeds are heat, and flaxseed might help in that fashion. I have another. Flaxseed is good for diabetic or losing weight, but then the flaxseed should not be taken throughout the day. Like you have it in your smoothie, or you have it in your food, you have it after your meals in mukwas. See, flax seeds are really good. They are superfoods, but they do not have they hinder the shukra dhatu, or the reproducing capacity of our body. It is not just reproduction in the form of having a issue or something, but reproduction. See, suppose if you have a small cut, the cells are dead. They have to come back to join your skin. So that revival also is done with the shukra dhatu of the body, and flax seeds affect this shukra dhatu. So when you have to eat flax seeds, you have to see that you are using something that will enhance the shukra dhatu in your body. And if you use it in that combination, then flax seeds are also very beneficial for diabetic and obese.
Dr. Vrushali, now that we're talking about water content, now millets are supposed to be soaked for 7 to 8 hours before consuming it.
But
So,
millets do not use, but they're not grown in water. You know, millets
Right.
is one grain which
we soak
uses
them.
minimum water.
But we are
Yeah,
soaking
no,
them, so that's okay.
No,
she's
do
not
not soak
talking.
them. Don't soak them.
No, millets are supposed to be soaked, Vishali. We
Okay, you
always
yes,
recommend that millets are soaked. Yeah, at least 5-6 hours they need to be soaked before we have them.
for cooking.
Yeah, for cooking.
Yeah, while cooking you have to soak them. That's okay. But then you are again giving it a heat. But millets in themselves don't require water to grow. That is one thing.
Yes.
And in fact, in some texts we have that you give these millets to horses, donkeys, cows, and let them eat those millets, and then they pass it out in the dung. Then you wash those millets, clean them, and then use it as food. Because that means they get partially digested outside.
Mhm.
So even that is given in the text. I do not know how we can go about it now these days,
Yeah,
because
I know. Amazing. I mean, there are things which are in the text in Ashtang Hridayam, etc., which are so amazing. I mean, they are even in today's modern times. I don't even know whether we can relate to many of that stuff.
yeah.
I'm going to open this for question answers. We have about 5-7 minutes for question answers before Priya comes
Okay.
on board. Um,
Okay.
any other questions?
Yeah, doctor, that was a wonderful discussion on. I'm Shailaja from Bangalore. That was a
Okay.
wonderful, actually, about wonderful in Ayurveda. There's so much thing about diabetes. One thing I wanted to know is sugar is the main reason for this diabetes, right? Or insulin, in fact.
Okay.
So,
Ah.
is there any Ayurvedic herb which
Ah.
helps the body to combat this desire of sugar?
No, like you would say something like stevia or something that is used instead of sugar.
No, no, no. Any Ayurvedic herb. No, no, no. See,
Uh,
once a person gets diabetes, it is very difficult for a sweet loving person to
yeah.
actually get used to it, not consuming sweet or sugar or anything. Any
Yeah.
Ayurvedic herb is there which combats this desire?
No, see, I'll tell you what it is. Cravings for sweet. Sweet, there are 6 flavors, So sweet, salty, pungent, and all those things. So this sweet flavor is body's requirement. When body doesn't have enough of strength, or it is not healthy, it wants something, then it craves for sweet things in your body. So this craving will always be there when you are a diabetic and you need that. But what you have to understand is you can go in for dates. Dates can be replaced wherever you are using sugar. So
Yeah. Anyway, the
there's no
answer
such
is that maybe the herb is not known as much
no, there's
to really.
there's no such herb exactly like that.
Yeah.
Or you can use. You have to reduce your craving for sugar. That is one thing. That's
Okay.
There are people.
Doctor?
There are a couple of people who are asking about insulin leaves. That how effective are they to deal with?
No. I think Ayurveda doesn't have anything on those leaves or anything
Okay.
that may not be a part of Ayurveda. So
What is the best way to reverse it? You mentioned about foods and lifestyle. Are there any specific medication? This is another question which is coming up on the chat box. Is there any other specific medication which you recommend?
yeah, there are medicines that help, but that's what I said. Ki amla, turmeric, and daru haridra. This combination is a very good combination. And then there are other things like you have Chandra Prabhavati or you have Shilajit. You can use it for reversing. But I still feel exercise and diet will be the best combination because medicines have to be specific. You have to look at the person, at his prakriti, the work that he is doing, the lifestyle that they have, and it all depends on that. We can have
Doctor.
Surya Namaskars for
Doctor, this is
Hi.
Vasundhara from Bangalore.
Hello.
Yeah. I wanted to know, have you heard of this sky fruit? It's very bitter. Sky fruit?
Sorry.
Sky fruit?
Sky?
Asking if you've heard about sky fruit, which is very
No,
bitter for
no.
diabetes.
Yeah. So my mother, who is diabetic, got some advice. Taking it, swallowing it daily will help her control her uncontrolled diabetes. And
Okay.
I see, she is finding it very difficult to take it, but still she does that. Do they
Okay.
really have any support with respect to these kind of consumption?
No, I don't think I've not come across anything like that in
They are
Ayurveda.
Vasu, there are multiple things which help in diabetes. The other day there's somebody who's given me a concoction of lots of herbs, which include some of the things which doctors mention right now. So yeah, there are multiple concoctions, but there is no substitute to really getting your entire lifestyle right. So these all support, of course. There's no doubt about it.
I've seen
Anybody
one
else?
more.
Huh.
Yes,
Please,
if
please.
anybody else is.
And doctor, what is the cause of this diabetes at a very young age? Like it's children of 5, 6 years old also get this diabetes. For
Yeah.
It's type 1
that,
diabetes.
sorry.
That's type 1 diabetes.
Yeah, type 1 diabetes. So girls especially reaching the puberty, it will be very difficult for them.
Yeah.
In my own family, I've seen type 1 diabetes with children of around 5.5 years.
Yeah.
So what is the major cause in those children?
Most of the times, it is a genetic cause. Maybe they have some genes that has come from either parent
But
or
I've seen that their parents or grandparents, none have diabetes.
Okay.
So I was like I thought today was the right day to ask this question.
Yeah.
My sense is that stress is also a very big contributor. Like
Yeah.
in today's time, even young children go through a lot of stress because of what is happening in nuclear families. There are times when they're part of families where, say, there's a breakup happening, or some very stressful condition, and I think it often leads to conditions like this. This is my quick guess from whatever
Yeah.
I get
Oh, stress also
observing.
causes diabetes.
Yes, of course. Most of
Absolutely.
the diabetic cases, if you look at them, these people have a guilt feeling within themselves. They may appear to be very stubborn or very aggressive in appearance, but they always have some guilt feeling inside them. Almost every diabetic patient that I've come across has that feeling within them. It could be the smallest thing. If the child doesn't behave properly, if this child hasn't scored good marks in school, the mother keeps on blaming herself, oh, I don't pay more attention, or that kind of things, and that kind of things that keep on uh, driving inside.
Reinforcing.
And
Absolutely. No, stress is a cause of almost all the lifestyle diseases. So lifestyle diseases actually manifest, rather stress manifests in many multiple lifestyle diseses.
yeah,
It's very interesting, and because the body is such a holistic organism, what organ gets affected by. As a matter of very interestingly, homeopathy, while Ayurveda classifies people differently as Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and Prakriti, homeopathy is able to get down to the emotional cause of that particular lifestyle disease. So
yeah,
I really feel that we all need to understand that almost all of them, besides the food and the sleep and exercise,
yeah.
which also impact our stress, our main cause of all of this is really starts from stress.
This could be in the child's condition. If she doesn't have any uh, family history of diabetes, and she has contracted diabetes, that this could be one of the reasons, that is sleep deprivation. Kids don't
Oh.
sleep early these days, and they have to go to school early in the mornings. And then that's what I said. People are talking about what you should take in, but no, there are very few people who tell you that you have to go to the loo in the morning, early morning, wake up and go have. I've seen school teachers come complaining that parents just send their kids to school just like that, and the children have to go for potty, and we have to do all that work. So parents should inculcate these habits in children. You have to
Absolutely.
Even holding on to your urine, that I always says all that things also. See, like these are called vague or excretions. It could be stools, it could be urine, sweating. See, if you've lived in an air-conditioned house, if you move in an air-conditioned car, sit in an air-conditioned office, shop in air-conditioned malls, even that is going to cause diabetes because you are not sweating. There's no sweat coming out of your skin. Your pores are just blocked. So
Could be
that can
multiple,
also cause
yeah,
diabetes.
multiple factors. Absolutely, no,
Oh,
absolutely
thank
understood
you so
there.
much, doctor.
Any last question which we have, and then we will have doctor on our group so that we can have more questions for her. Any last question?
I wanted to ask about fruits. Doctor, what's your take on eating fruits during diabetes? Because normally doctors tell to have less fruits, and a lot of fruits have a lot of water content in them also.
Yeah.
So, but generally, I've also heard like there are proper nutritionists and like big dietitians who have cured people, like the new age dietitians who have cured diabetics with just having fruits correctly, like having fruits on an empty stomach and all of that. So what do you think about that?
Say you can have jamuns. Jamuns are because they have that taste for them. That so you can have
Jamun
jamuns.
is
You can
very
have
seasonal. Jamun is very seasonal. On a daily basis, normally it's apples, bananas, pears, papayas.
so papayas you can have in some quantity. Bananas I would not advise. But if they're unripe, you can have them, cook and have them. Then I do not know what you call that in English. Kavat we call it. It is a hard fruit and
Wood apple,
it's
wood apple.
wood apple, right, right,
Wood apple.
wood apple. So you can have that. Uh, then you can have dates, or you can have grapes also.
Mango.
To a certain extent, you
Mango.
can have. Sorry.
So any very high sugar fruit we should avoid, right? I mean,
Yeah.
for example,
Yeah.
mangoes and
Mangoes. Yeah.
chicos and
In
bananas,
certain
etc.
conditions, you can even have mangoes if you can. One slice of mango with honey on, apply honey, a spoonful of honey on it. Only thing is that honey should be proper because these days we do not get good quality honey. So if the honey is guaranteed, you can have it. Honey, you can have it in diabetes.
So thank you very much, Dr. Vrishali. I think these are some queries which I know all pre-diabetics and diabetics have, especially when it comes to fruits, because that's a diet which we don't like to miss in our foods.
You
I'm
can
going to
have
now come
figs.
to our next section. Yeah, so I'm going to open this. I'll add you to the group, so there could be some other questions to you. We are coming to the last section. We already run out of time.
Yeah.
Vrishali, this is such an important subject, and I know we could have taken 2 more hours because obesity itself is again a big subject. I'm going to now invite Priya Govindan from Bombay. She's here with us. And Priya has a very unique background. What I'm going to touch about in her background when I first came to know about is that she had kids at the age of twins at the age of 44.
Oh.
And to me, that's very, very unique. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
And
got married at 40, so.
okay. And I also remember, Priya, you mentioning that you were overweight, like heavily overweight, and then
So I'm going to
how
take this
this,
in my story. So
yeah.
I've
So
created part of my
I would
story.
love you to touch a little bit about this
Of
journey of
course.
yours and how you kind of created Prakriti, which is this wonderful outlet where you've been able to put together very healthy foods for everyone. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Priya Govindan, and I'm basically a marketing professional with around 25 years of work experience. I am not an agripreneur. Okay, so don't get shocked. I'm not an agripreneur. I'm just a mother. And this is the story of my journey. So I would like to thank Gauriji for this opportunity. I'm speaking among people who are actually dedicated, determined, and working in an area where I have just started out. Okay, I am married to Dr. Rakesh Murudkar, who is an agronomist with 20 plus years of experience in agriculture across different fields in India and abroad as well. My journey started around 3.5 years back when we decided to go the family way. So we've been married since 2015, and my allopath. Okay, I'm making that very specific because I have an awesome set of doctors who don't talk about medicine. They talk about how you can live without medicine. So my allopath gave me a warning saying that unless you lose weight, you're going to end up with gestational diabetes and thyroid during your pregnancy for sure. So started a mission, 20 kgs, 11 months, made lifestyle shifts. Lifestyle shifts included diet, and I'm a big time foodie. I cannot stay without eating out. So at least once a week I eat out, which is my nutritionist's biggest problem about me. But yes, I used to work out and manage my diet. And yes, I had insulin resistance, which got managed. The B12 was messed up. D3 was messed up. So all of that also got taken care of with a proper lifestyle change that I created. Yes, I go to bed by 10:30 maximum. Basic things that change your whole, change your whole outlook towards life and your body health also. Now, I conceived, and by God's grace, I had a very smooth pregnancy. One thing I would like to tell here is that I practiced extreme deep breathing all through my pregnancy. So I'm a person who's slightly on the hyper end, because of which also my nutritionist says that I don't lose weight easily. So my BP is generally 130/90. But during my pregnancy, it did not cross 120/80 for that 8 months and 5 days. So that was another thing that I learned, that yes, lifestyle changes, small things like deep breathing. There was nothing but just deep breathing as deep as I could, which made a lot of difference. So this was one part. Then when you get pregnant, your doctors stand up and say, get out of cosmetics. So the reason I told my husband's background was that he was my punch bag. And he was the one who would get requests from me, because I would start reading, okay, what can I use? I tan easily. What can I use to stop tanning? What can I use to, do something XYZ, whatever, rashes, etc., etc., etc. So then he would start sourcing for me. So this whole Prakriti Gifts of Nature started because I needed things. I needed cold pressed coconut oil for oil pulling. I needed organic apple cider vinegar for substantiating, helping my weight loss. I needed Himalayan aloe vera, or whatever, the best aloe vera available for my moisturizing. I needed almond oil to make so that I detan. Things like that. So all of this, it started with me. Now, my husband connects with farmers and distillers who supply to exporters and large pharmaceuticals. Why will they give me 500 grams or 1 kg was a big question. They would do it once as a favor. They will not do it regularly because obviously it didn't make sense to them. So then I started pulling my friends in to get orders happening. Ki, theek hai, 5 kg hoga to wo bhej dega. It was like that. So this is how it all started. So when I needed coconut oil or aloe vera, or I needed organic rose water, or I needed organic good, whatever I needed, I would pull in my friends. Chal main manga rahi hu, tumhare liye chahiye kya? I'll call for you also. So this is all how it started off with friends happening. And what happened is my babies arrived. And when babies arrived, I became a part of a lot of WhatsApp groups, which are MoMA communities. That's how they're called actually. There are MoMA groups in Mumbai, lots of them. So I got added X, Y, Z, A, B, C, everywhere. And then I realized that everyone was looking for something which they could trust with their babies. So this is how Prakriti Gifts of Nature was born in the summers of 2019. It's less than a year back, and the mission here is very simple: to give every new mother what she needs for herself and her baby. Something she can use without being worried about. Whether it is organic gourd, whether it's organic turmeric. Now that Dr. Vrishali spoke about honey, yes, we have neem jamun honey, which is the purest one that you can get. Then we got in Bellona ghee for my kids because my daughter had hard stools and I realized it works for that. It just happened. So everything is tried and tested on my little twins who are 14 months old, after which it goes on the catalog, before which it doesn't go. So सारे बलि के बकरे घर में ही हैं. So this whole Prakriti Gifts of Nature is first tried in the house. On us, if it works, it goes. Otherwise, it doesn't go on the catalog. Simple as that. So when people say,
Thank you so much. Yeah. So that's wonderful, Priya. What you shared is wonderful. And this is the kind of journey we would like more and more of us to go through. So you exemplify that journey fantastically. And
thank
we
you so
want,
much.
really so many more mothers today to be following an organic, healthy diet sooner than later. Yeah, mothers tend to neglect themselves the most actually,
Of course.
and most of them are still depend on processed food which is available in the market for
And
their
I
kids
won't
also.
blame the mothers,
So,
Gauriji. I won't blame the mothers because handling a kid when you're just out of your delivery is a game in itself.
there you go. So
So
you bring,
you're
yeah.
the
So we
last
hope you
person I'm
success.
thinking about.
Yeah. So we hope that mothers like you are able to really support other mothers in getting the best foods across to their children. And
Definitely.
yeah, we want a lot of change to happen also in schools. I think it's really a big need now to change the boxes, tiffin boxes of children, and some of them are
True.
eating so much of trash and breads, white breads, and all kinds of things which is completely avoidable. So I think yeah, lifestyle starts with kids. So this is a message which I really
True.
wanted to convey here in our in our
My
platform.
journey
Thank you
with
so much.
organic started with my kids only because of them, because I said now I want them to get something that probably
Great.
they will not get otherwise.
And that's the conscious mother. So we want more of the mothers to come up as conscious parents. So thank you very much. Thank you, Priya. Thank you. That's
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.
Dr. Vrishali, great topic discussed in a very different way. So I think there's going to be a lot of takeaways and a lot of food for thought, really speaking. Especially this water aspect was something that is
I
completely
know.
unknown to me. So it's the first time I have understood it in the real Ayurvedic way. You've emphasized a lot on lifestyle, and I think that's the message we are going to be putting across on all our talks. Thank you again. Good night, everybody. And please pour in your thanks to Dr. Vrishali for giving us such an excellent session.
Yeah.
Good
Thank
night.
you, Gauriji. This was such an very interesting way of doing something like this, and I'm really thankful to you for this platform. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad the technology is being used for educating us in this way.
Yeah.
Okay. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.